Hi guys, Meredith Alexander here. So a lot of people have been asking me, what do I do when I'm facing a huge challenge? Well, the answer to that is first, take a breath. Seriously, first, before you do anything else, take a nice inhale and a nice exhale because what it does is really help to physically get you out of that fight or flight mode. Because when you're fight or flight mode, you're not open to solutions. So after you take your first breath, then it's time to act. But in this case, ACT is an acronym because those of you who have worked with me and who know me know that if you are trying to do something, face a big obstacle, or do something that is feeling impossible at the moment, it does not start with those outer game skills. It is not the branding, it is it is not the marketing, it is not that new trick that you don't know yet. It begins within. It begins by first getting out of your own way. How do you do that? A is again that awareness. Be aware of your inner narrative. Every single thing starts with your inner narrative and specifically your focus, because your clear focus, clarity is your power. And that is where you get your rocket fuel. That is the only place that you get your rocket fuel. Because if you are depending on the outer world to create an environment where you feel energized, then you are totally giving up your power. You are totally at the mercy of what's going on out there. So if you are facing a challenge, you take that breath and you act. Be aware of your inner narrative, your thoughts, your focus. And where are you focusing? Are you focusing on the things that you can control? Are you focusing on the presence of exactly what you want? Or are you giving your focus, i.e., your energy, to energize the things that you don't want, the lack of the presence of what you want? Because that's very, very critical. That's been proven both spiritually and spirituality as well now in neuroscience over and over and over again. So it's really important that little by little you get your thoughts to feeling just a little bit better. And that takes us to the C in ACT. Commit to changing. Be aware of what you're focusing on. Be aware of your inner narrative. And if you are speaking talk like, well, my challenge is, the problem is, what always messes me up is, remember that is the programming code for your subconscious. That is how your subconscious gauges your reality and creates more of it. So if you do not want more of what you are seeing out there as evidence, then it is time to stop defining yourself by what has been happening and gain the tenacity to shift that focus to the potential of what can be forward so that it can pull you. You can allow that almost like a magnet, right? And then T is the power of transformation. Be open to change. Remember that the art of success is learning to little by little gradually get familiar with that unfamiliar place. Because if you're looking for change, that means that you're looking for something that is not currently physically present in your life. In other words, it's unfamiliar to your current life, which makes that in your unfamiliar zone. So if you want to get it, you've got to go to that unfamiliar. And the unfamiliar, the beautiful thing about the unfamiliar is that it just means you have to get familiar with it, right? You have to dip your toe in and be patient with yourself. Dip your toe in and go there. I was talking to someone yesterday and I was sharing the story how I used to mountain bike. And at first, when I started, and mind you, I was 50 years old when I started. So, yeah, this was not something that I had done before. And we started with the easier trails, but then we were invited to progress to what are called the technical trails. Those are the ones with literally 40-foot drops and their boulders and their roots, and in some cases, alligators, although we tried to avoid them, that we had to navigate. And I won't kid you, it was terrifying. I would look at those and I'd be like, there is no freaking way. However, the more familiar that I got with the regular trails, the more that I thought, you know what, maybe I can chunk it down, right? I didn't do the whole trail. I didn't say, let's go, let's do the whole thing. Let's chunk it down. Let's do one. Let's do one of those drops. So one of the drops that isn't the most treacherous drop, but it is a drop. It's a stretch for me. And the first time I did it, it was like, ah, oh my God, rah, terrifying. Almost enough to knock my computer off, right? Terrifying. And yet, the more that I did it, it shifted from being terrifying to being exhilarating, right? I started to get desensitized to the terror and started to feel more familiar, more confident. And so, guess what I did? I did another drop. I did another one until eventually I was doing the entire trail and loving it. It was becoming an exhilarating experience where I was like, yes, I am the queen of the world. So for you, that's the thing. What might feel impossible to you right now? What might feel like a challenge to you now? It's simply unfamiliar. It calls for you to take a breath, get out of that fight or flight mode, stop dedicating your focus to all of the things that seem daunting, that seem that imagination that is creating dangerous and frightening possibilities, and gently got change the course of this cruise ship and begin deliberately paying attention to what you're thinking. Little by little, inch your thoughts to a place where you can focus emotionally and energetically, specifically on the feeling and the presence of where it is that you intend to go, and then welcome that transformation. So that's our little tip for today. That is how, when you find yourself up against an overwhelming situation, when you're facing the impossible, when you're facing a challenge, it starts with your breath and the commitment to act. So I'm Meredith Alexander. If I can support you more, please reach out. Go out, make this an epic day for yourself, and I will see you next time. Ta-ta for now. Bye, guys.